installations previously seen as formidable. Soldiers enjoying a karaoke night, $1 million aircraft, like this Boeing E-3 Century, which gave the U.S. a huge amount of visibility over the Gulf. It's out of production, and in today's money, it's worth nearly $500 million.
Wow. So recently, CNN has come out and actually done some reporting. Unfortunately, it's about 60 days late, but as Glenn Greenwald says, here's CNN. At least 15 American military sites have been damaged in the Iranian strikes, making up the majority of U.S. positions in the Middle East. That's May 1st they came out, right? And I'm going to show you the video they put out in a second. Glenn says there's now good journalism on the major destruction imposed by Iran on most regional U.S. military bases using sophisticated and precise weapons. But again, those whose understanding of the Iran war comes from Fox and the White House and Trump influencers have no idea this is happening. So it took about 60 days for CNN to actually report this. And here's what they reported, and I want to get your reaction to this.
Camp Gearing, Kuwait. American soldiers enjoying a karaoke night at one of the biggest U.S. military hubs in the Gulf. That was then. This is now. A once bustling American microcity in the desert, nearly empty and heavily damaged after a weeks-long barrage of Iranian missiles and drones. One of many U.S. military facilities in the oil-rich Arabian Peninsula, targeted by Iran even as the U.S. and Israel pummeled the Islamic Republic's large arsenal. So what impact have Iran's strikes had on America's footprint in the Middle East? A CNN investigation found evidence of unprecedented destruction. We can reveal that strikes damaged at least 16 U.S. installations across 8 countries. According to our analysis and sourcing, that's the majority of American military positions in the region, and some of them are virtually unusable now. A U.S. source familiar with the situation told us that they'd never seen anything like this at American bases, that these were rapid, targeted strikes using its technology. Iran's main targets? Multi-million-dollar aircraft, like this Boeing E-3 Century, which gave the U.S. a huge amount of visibility over the Gulf. It's out of production, and in today's money, it's worth nearly $500 million.
Wow.
Critical communications equipment. Look at these giant golf balls. They're known as radomes, and they protect satellite dishes vital for data transmission. In this base alone, Iran destroyed all but one of the radomes less than a month into the war. And crucially, radar systems. Highly sophisticated, expensive, difficult to replace, and critical to air defense. A second U.S. source, this one a congressional aide familiar with damage assessments, described these as the most cost-effective of the targets. Our radar systems, they said, are our most expensive and our most limited resource in the region. For U.S. allies in the region, there's a dilemma. In some ways, Iran's show of force makes the U.S.'s presence in the region even more necessary to Gulf security. But there's a new reality here, which is that U.S. military installations, previously seen as formidable fortresses, have turned into sitting targets. As a Saudi source told me, the war has shown Saudi Arabia, that's the U.S.'s longest-standing Arab ally, that the alliance with the U.S. cannot be exclusive, and it is not, in their words, impregnable. To get a sense of just...
Do you hear that? Saudi Arabia just believes, because of this blind fealty to Saudi Arabia now says they can't rely on the United States, basically. That means oil is going to be priced in more than just dollars. And for all of you of the baby boom generation, the very spoiled baby boom generation, from the 60s onward, you've lived a life completely beyond what the majority of all mankind in all of history has ever lived. And you're spoiled brats. And I'm at the end of that baby boom generation. But the ones, the free love generation, spoiled brats. And I don't think people think it through. But anyway, it doesn't matter what I think or anybody thinks. Saudi Arabia no longer is going to see the United States as its protector in the Middle East. That changes an agreement that existed since Roosevelt. And it's going to change your lives. But it's just opinion. Just opinion. I don't think it's opinion. I think it's a fact. But others of the baby boom generation, it's just opinion. It's a human thing to project into the future your experience of all your life. We don't have to worry about it. But we're not going to be able to print dollars anymore and cover all of this folly. I think we're a strong country and we can compete with anybody if we have fair markets and we get off of this neocon foreign policy and get back to our strengths. But it's going to take 10, 15, 20 years to do it. And in the meantime, I think China has some of its own problems, but China hasn't lost the trust of the Middle East. But I think the country that's going to benefit the most of all is Russia. And I think Putin will be a strong ally. The reason the Saudis didn't deal with them but the Soviet Union was a God. But Putin believes in God. So anyway, get ready for your lives to change for the rest of your lives. And if you think I'm exempting myself from it, I'm not. I got to get ready too. One of the main things is to recognize that in real purchasing power, cost of energy is going up for us. What's one way to prevent it hurting you? Have a big enough account that you can buy some income off of oil and gas, and then you're protected, somewhat protected anyway. But anyway, let's. I think it's great that Trump is going to. That Trump is going to. Looks like he's going to back out of this war. But we lost, make no mistake about it. And that's not opinion. Our bases are gone. The trust of our allies is gone. And it's going to take a while to get that back. But hey, at least we were on the side of the righteous. We went in and killed 190 schoolgirls. Man, that felt good. All right, guess where you are? A little bit higher. You're at 20,812,783 shares of Railtown. 20,812,783 shares of Railtown. Very close to 21. It's amazing what you guys have done. Absolutely amazing. I apologize for coming on. I mean, I don't have a scheduled time or anything, but it's later than normal. I had a doctor's appointment at 3 o'clock, and I went there at 8 a.m. this morning to find out it was at 3. So I've walked, I've walked 21,957 steps today, 22,000 steps today. A little worn out, but 22,000 steps. Steps to miles. 9 to 11 miles for most people. So call it 10. I walked 10 miles today. Sometimes I'm an idiot. Sometimes I am an idiot. There's a new S1. One of your compatriots sent me, and he's a very much a friend of all of you. But I don't know what the change is. It's all redlined, so it's still. It's an amendment. Amendment number 9. Number 9. Number 9. Number 9. Number 9. As an exhibit only filing. All right, let's see what changed. Bunch of things I don't want to read. And I don't know what changed. Kind of looks like a bunch of agreements, notes. I don't know the significance of it. It's just, it's moving closer to fruition. And I think we're darn lucky to have Greg McCabe as our champion, one and only champion. All right, let me see if I can get. What's the best way? I guess sign in is the best way, even though the market's closed. It's an easier way to get all the quotes, maybe. Okay. All right, so I can't tell if they're really, the market closed down 300, 49,500. I still have to find my piece of paper. I hope I didn't throw it away. I might, if I did, I wrote it down in here. I don't think it's something I would have thrown away. GDC is trading at 17 cents, 0.1789. Finger is trading after hours at 0.8896, 0.8896. And I think, let's see, NRGV is trading at 418. And I mean, I'm a little shocked. Is GDC the stock we were watching at $8? Or is that a different one? Is that G-Bucks? Let me see if they have a little chart there. Yeah, I guess it was GDC. I guess it was GDC. Yeah, that's the one. It was as high as 141 today. And the close is 18 cents. I don't know what the close is. 15 cents. The close is 15 cents. So it was down $1 today. I had some thoughts about that, but I don't like talking about speaking ill of the dead. So we'll just leave that one alone. Railtown closed at 32.24 on 84,000 shares. And according to my service here, I would assume it was a purchase. Obviously there's a buy and sell in every trade, but what was the predominant purpose of this trade, I think, was a buy, I'm guessing, just because of it's a neat number, and it's I didn't watch it today, so I don't know if it's near the ask or in between. Anyway, 12,000 shares at 32.24 at 12:31 today. There was a hearing, a judge's hearing on the MMAT bankruptcy. I didn't tune in, so I don't know what was said. But last time I did listen for a while, and I really got the impression the judge was on the side of the good guys, and that Wes and then the main attorney are doing a really good job. I would assume it continued to go in that flavor, but I really didn't listen. All right, let me go through your comments. And it's not like I have an overwhelming number of things to say, but I have some things to show you. And and maybe we won't go that late tonight. It's 5:49. Again, you guys have done a great job. 20 million shares, 812,000. It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. All right, let's go to the top. Ricky Brogan. Hi, William and RT crew. Hey, Ricky. Pete, Greek, Opa, Upapa. Federal Trade Court knocks down Trump's tariff. We gotta stop doing this. The Democrats want to lead us down the road of, I don't know what their plan is, but it's not good. But whatever. Unknown Stuntsman. Hi, Uncle Bill. Hi, Steve. Pete, Greek. GDC. Oh my gosh, what happened to it? Well, Pete, I think people don't understand that we're the suckers at the table. And these companies come up with stories that we cling to, but they're not real companies, and they're just facsimiles of the bigger stories out there. And so you see MicroStrategy build a treasury of Bitcoin, and it works. So what do we do? I don't remember if GDC was the company that made wheelchairs or if it was ZJYL, but essentially same crap out of Hong Kong or something. And why don't we just affix a treasury. Hey, it worked over there. We'll get a treasury of securities in Bitcoin, and we'll make an announcement, and we'll tell that story, and it's going to make it run. And the group that did it, if I remember, is Palicos Capital, something like that. Well, I believe, it's just my opinion, and I haven't researched it in depth, but I think they work on behalf or with what we call the shorts. I remind you, when we call this the shorts, we're ridiculed because that sounds like shorts do a good thing, and that's not a big deal. It's more than just shorting. It is an entire soup to nuts plan. Look at Chadron Financial is going up, and the other one, I can't, RE Advisors or something. Yeah, I can't think of it right now. For collective audience. So what they do, Pete, is they take the latest buzzword, they make it a great story, and everyone takes it at face value. It doesn't seem how many ever times they get burned, the next story is just as believable as the first one was. My opinion of what went on is I've always thought, and I've said it, and I'm saying it again, I don't believe they ever had the 7,500 Bitcoin locked up. And I know, it's audited, but it's not here. Whatever. Maybe there's some sort of so-called proof of it, but I don't believe it. Or if it were put in, it was part of trying to trigger a squeeze, but it had a clause that if it didn't squeeze, the guy could take his coins back. That's my opinion. I haven't seen any evidence that backs me up other than the stock price. The other thing is they issued a ton of shares to get that treasury of Bitcoins. And I think there was an ATM signed with it. And they expanded the number of their authorized shares to, 10 billion or something. It's just the same old crap for the brokerage firm, for the hedge fund, for the fronts like this Capital Group, for the stock loan desks, for the attorneys, they all feed off of it. And the key is they need people to buy the stock so that the automatic selling computers get a little confused, or they back off and it runs up a bit, then they can do a placement. And if they can cause it to really take off, well, you have a win. But I think with that stock, that was it the other day. It went, the insiders, it's a stock pool. As it ramped up, they got out. And I think whatever it went to, I'm trying to remember, 812, 817, that was it. And we always kick ourselves afterward. Well, I should have gotten out, but 812 didn't seem high enough. That must go to 15 or 20. And so we don't get out. And then we get suckered every time. They did this with AME. They was it that, or is it GameStop? I think it was GameStop. But they got it from 28. They got it to run to 64 because of roaring full of crap, and people didn't sell. Oh, this is going to be it. But I recall telling, why don't you just sell calls at least? Anyway, came all the way back down to 25, 22, 23. Then they ran it up to like 40, 38 or 40. It came all the way back down and they run it up again. And they sell all this stock into it. I don't know if they sold a lot of stock in this situation. I just think the players that set it all up, they got out, or some part of them got out, because it's honor among thieves, probably. And 17 million shares traded yesterday. I don't know what traded today. Wow, 219 million. 219 million. That's toast. And they made a lot of money. 219 million back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. There's so much money being made, and it's all computerized, and we think we can beat it. That's the thing. We think we can beat it. I'm telling you, the only way to play these stocks, particularly if Ham brings up a stock and talks about it, he usually has early information on something. And I don't think he'd disagree with me, by the way. But it's tricky. It's tricky how to do it. But you get in early, you might have to wait a long time or a short time. And if the story is, like it was with GDC, that this is worth at least 20 or 25, and it's once this comes in, it's going to squeeze to 150. Whatever that story is, realize that's the carrot to get people to buy the stock. Get in early, like I think there's so many of these stocks. I think he talked about it around 60, 70, 80 cents. I might be confusing it with G-Bucks. And it ran to maybe even 12 and then opened at 8. Anyway, just get out. Just get out. And if you get out way too early, well, at least you made a profit. But we don't do that. But these people do. The bigger sort of engineers of us, they do that. But then the high frequency trading computers, they're all printing money. They're all printing money. And then the market makers, so-called, they're making money. Stock loan, everybody's making money except you and me, because it says sucker across our forehead. And we fall for it every time. Every time we fall for the stories. But I don't know what specifically happened. Let me see if there's a news story. I really didn't watch it, Pete. I'm surprised at it. I figured it be there's no news. I figured to be still trading at $1 or something, but it's very hard for these stocks to recover. I mean, if you pay $8 or $6 or $5 to get back to that now, it's got to do just a Herculean climb back. And there's nothing to the company. There's nothing in the company. I wonder if they say what this company does. But they placed 2.8 million. Palace Capital. I think you're going to find out that 7,500 was never in the company Bitcoin, or if it was like on loan and they could snatch it back out. They're launching an AI immersive reading platform. It's the stock pools. I read it to you yesterday. Doesn't take long to read it. In 1929. I think it was page 63. It's the same thing. It's just different technology. Durant, he was this guy I found out yesterday for sure when I read it to you. It's out of Detroit. He created General Motors, and he was one of the big traders on Wall Street. Durant was on the cutting edge of what had become a fad among insiders on Wall Street in the mid 1990s, the quote unquote stock pool. It typically worked like this. A group of investors would combine their resources to covertly buy up shares in a given company. They would do this over a period of weeks, careful not to draw too much attention to their activities. Then, with the aid of a market insider, often the very man on the floor who specialized in trading of that company, they would commence a series of trades with themselves to artificially lift the price of the stock. They use computers to do it now. Gullible investors would notice the upward momentum of the shares and jump in on the trade. They were not necessarily ignorant or dumb, and I'm not saying so either. They might know or guess that an investment pool was manipulating the price. But if they got the timing right, even a total outsider, which is what we are total outsiders. We could capture a bit of the upside before the pool pulled the plug and dumped its shares back on the market. That's what happens now. It's the same thing. You add a few news story, you add a few charm boys, and then people hang on. Hang on, Snoopy. Snoopy, hang on. I don't know what happened, Pete. I was going to talk about it. I did some looking into all the things, but I don't want to, what's that expression? Beat a dead horse to death. Charlie M., long time, William. Hope all has been well. Same here, long time, Charlie M. Charlie. I had a cat named Charlie. He was a good boy, but he didn't spell it your way. Or I don't think he knew how to spell it anyway. But anyway, good to see you here. Thanks for tuning in. Jim, hello, William and all. Hi to you, Jim. Steve, unknown son. I can't believe Steve. Steve is going to be our hero. He's going to be our Mick Jagger. I was talking to this young doctor today, and I said, I want to be able to move around like Mick Jagger. He's 82, and the doctor's, I don't know, he's in his 30s. He said, who's Mick Jagger? I said, oh my God, I'm getting old. Getting old. I am getting old. Good for you, Steve. Congratulations. You said you were buying some other stock yesterday. I was wondering why not just all RT. I did. That's all I bought. It was 545 shares. That's all I bought. I didn't buy anything else. It was a big position. I didn't buy anything else. It was just something that I had purchased 2.5 years ago. I don't know what I paid, 0.00001. And of course, I tried over the last year or so to get out of it. I never could get out. I gave up. But it all of a sudden, I think it's even higher now today than where I got out. But I just followed my own advice and just I don't need to keep any of the rubbish basket stocks at all. Just put it all into Railtown. But that was a big commitment on my part, Steve. It was like $184 minus the commission, $179 into the stock. But I didn't buy anything else. And I'm not going to buy anything else if I ever get clear. Sorry, I've been in and out of consciousness working midnights. After midnight. That's tough that you're working so hard. But don't quit your job when you're rich. Keep your job for at least a year after you're rich. And don't touch your account. So you become accustomed to being a millionaire. I think you have a chance to be is it a centimillionaire? I think you have a real good chance. I think you're going to do better than most rock stars or movie stars or I think. Well, we'll see. As I always say, as they pointed out to me yesterday. Giuseppe, good evening, William. Hello, all. Hi to you, Giuseppe. Fast Eddie, good evening, Dollar Bill. Pat M. Hi, all. Mein Gott. Guten. HD Miko, call me crazy, man, William, but I purchased a boatload of GDC today. If it goes to zero, so be it. I wouldn't do it. But if you really believe the story and you know the story, my view doesn't have to be correct. If that company actually has all the Bitcoin and it's going to have a recovery, I would do what you're doing. I would even do it. But see, I don't know if you will do that, but what I would do is now you've got an average cost that's probably, if you bought a boatload, you might have an average cost of $1 or 75 cents. I'd put an order in and, well, that's probably not what most people would do, but I'd probably put my order in just to get out at 75 cents or $1. But I'd at least put in order to sell half of it at $1.50 and just, anyway, that's how I see it. But you obviously, HD Miko, you have a good idea and a good understanding of the story. And I absolutely believe if you believe a story and you've studied it and you have an edge to the market because of that you do add, particularly when things are under stress, when there's panic selling, you do add. But to me, 214 million shares, pretty good indication that, I mean, it's all computerized, of course, but I don't know. I don't know what else to say. I do wish you luck. Keith, GDC, craziest selling I've ever seen. Well, um, 222 million now. We as investors, and I've done it like HD's doing it right now. I've done it. We get to the point and I've done it in other situations. We believe it's going to work, and might as well throw another chunk of money at it, and they love it. They don't, those computers and those guys, they don't think that way. They love it that we're willing to throw in. They'll take it, they'll hoover it up. I can't think of a single stock in my entire career which pales probably in comparison to others who are day traders, because I don't day trade, but I've never heard of one. Finger did it. Finger went from about here, 18 cents, and it rallied. When I first knew about it, it rallied all the way to like $16, $17. So I guess that's why I did just think of one. But man, I really can't think of one that ever recovered. I would say this is headed, it's 50-50 that it's headed to seller boxed. That's my opinion. But HD's right. I mean, the high, I'm just looking at it, the high on the year, $9.91.5, $9, almost $10. So if you like gambling, HD, we hammered Iran. Damn it. Damn it. Oh. The headline is MAGA abuse scandal. Trump-backed congressman's abuse. Well, that's obviously, oh, there. Trump unleashes midnight strikes on crucial Iran oil port. Oh my God, they're going to come back. I don't know how Tel Aviv's going to survive, but they'll come back at probably at the UAE pipeline, maybe the Saudi pipeline. Every time there's negotiations, when it involves Netanyahu and Trump, the lull comes and then they bomb. It's just, anyway. Trump Iran boasts shredded by leaked dossier. A leaked CIA dossier briefing to the White House concludes that Iran retains significant ballistic missile capabilities, undercutting Donald Trump's claims that the regime's stockpile has been wiped out. The regime. Why do we call it a regime? It's a government. We're the regime. Israel's the regime. The country Iran retains roughly 70% of its pre-war missile stockpile and 75% of its mobile launcher inventory, according to confidential CIA analysis. That's not opinion, that's the CIA. A U.S. official told the Washington Post that Iran has recovered and reopened the vast majority of the underground storage facilities damaged. Iran has repaired the damaged missiles, but produced a few new ones. I wish he'd stop listening to everyone around him, except for Robert Kennedy. Let me see where I can find. Let's look at what oil prices are doing if Yahoo Finance. Let's just look there. I don't want to look at the oil website and get too. This doesn't. It's not causing any. It's not causing any. It's not causing any problem in the news anyway. Oh well. Let me check Haaretz, Israeli newspaper. Iran accuses U.S. of violating ceasefire. Uh-oh. Hell is coming for breakfast. By the time you wake up for breakfast. Yeah, there it says. Iran accuses U.S. of violating ceasefire, vows powerful response. Let's keep going. Keith, Bitcoin to roll over soon, my birdies tell you. Be careful in anything related. Well, Keith, I'm not. I have it here. I could go back over it again, but I can summarize. There's a mathematician that wrote an article. He wrote several Substack, but I read it to you guys a couple of times. But I'll summarize the key points. Bitcoin is supposed to become money or an alternative to money. And it hasn't actually performed on it's very hard to define what money is, but there's an agreed 5 or 6 or 8 characteristics of money. And it kind of fulfills some of them, but not all of them. But it's of the 40 trillion or 50 trillion in global transactions, it accounts for like 2.5%. And so it's never achieved that status. I'm not saying it won't go up. I have friends that say it's going to 1 million. But the second point of the article, which is something I talk about all the time and people give me blank stares. And of course, since I don't have a deep knowledge of technology, I can't explain myself that well. But AI is the unit of account, the way you pay for compute power and for time on the computer, I guess, but the way you pay for it and using the whole data center or whatever and the AI tools is with tokens. And as we're moving into a world where AI is going to be AI agents, little gremlins dealing with each other, it's good for it's great for Railtown, but they're going to be spending your tokens or earning tokens for you. And that token is meeting all of the definitions that we've come to agree to describe money: unit of account, divisible, maintains its value for at least a period of time, so you don't have to worry that it's going to collapse or run away. it's auditable. I forget right now the other definitions of money. And one of the biggest is everybody agrees that it's money. And anyway, Anthropic has created the protocol. That's not the word they use, but the protocol for this, spending this, processing it, and apparently everybody's running their build outs on the Anthropic, I don't know the word, but protocol. I think it's huge. I think it could make Anthropic the biggest company we've ever seen, because that global GDP transactions, I think is over time is going to be, it could even go 50. I don't know what number to put on it, but if you start doing everything you can think about, junior level legal work, investment advice, medical work, driving, flying even, all sorts of things are all going to be run by AI. You can at least conceptually think that the token spending and earning could be tens of trillions of dollars every year market. And I think tokens could rival over time the US dollar. Of course, most of the tokens might be in US dollars, so that gets a little hard to define. But I think Anthropic is underpriced at 800 billion. But the final thing is, if you have a data center or if you have energy, and a data center is just a way of converting energy into a higher price, which is what work is. Energy, if you sell energy to the world, or if you sell iron ore to the world, or if you sell rubber to the world, or if you sell bauxite to the world, the leaders tend to get rich, but it doesn't really help your country. But the buyers of that, or in our case, for a long time in our history, we would take that energy and other resources and we would build automobiles or refrigerators or air conditioners and sell them to the world. So we take the raw material and mark it up and make a lot of wealth. China's doing that now, or trying to. We don't anymore. We're all financialization. We're going to come down hard if we don't get our act together. But anyway, that's opinion. What was I trying to say on that point? Oh, if you run a data center, or if you are supplying energy to that data center, so it's a combination of the energy coming in. I'll give you a simple example. One of the guys I've known for a long time in the oil business, and natural gas, he started a Bitcoin mining company, and he stopped working. He was making, when I talked to him, it was about, I don't know, 3-4 years ago, he's making 100 grand, 120 grand a month. And he's just essentially a one-man operation. And he bought up some natural gas fields at when oil prices were low. I think it's in New Mexico. And he just set up a warehouse, put the machines in. And anyway, we talked for a long time about it. And we broke. He was having a few beers. I was having yet another sparkling water. And so both of, I guess, we had drifted around, but I guess both of us had to do the inevitable. And I had to go use the men's room. And I'm in there, and he walks in and, saddles up a couple of things down. He said, you know what it really is, what I'm doing? And I said, no, Dan, what are you doing? It looks like to me you're spending a penny. He said, no. And I'm over washing my hands, and he finishes up and he comes to he said, really what's happening is that natural gas that I own, I could sell it right now at $1.84 an MCF. Profitably, $1.84. But by turning that natural gas into the warehouse and mining Bitcoin, I'm selling it for $10 to $12 an MCF. And that just hit me. And I thought about it on the flight home. I said, wow, that's what it is. You're just the Bitcoin miners, well, at least the ones that are providing the energy, doing the whole thing. They're basically increasing the price of natural gas in this case by 5-fold, 6-fold in this process. Well, what's happening, that also applies to the data centers. If you can you pay a data center, you're using electricity. What if you own it? Well, then that's your profit. Otherwise, you got to pay it. But in any event, one of the things that's going on is for the data centers and the providers of energy, or both, the rate of return on Bitcoin mining is far less. I don't remember the numbers right now, but it's dramatically lower, to the point of marginal profitability, maybe, when it's compared to the demand for chip compute power for AI. And so if you're a supplier of compute and you've got limited space at your data center, and you set up your contracts like a triple net lease, I suppose, at a shopping center, so you got a piece of the action, all day long you're going to bump the miner from 49er, and you're going to go get the AI business. Anyway, I don't know how to follow that on further, because again, I'm not an expert in Bitcoin. I had a chance to buy it, so I'm definitely not an expert. But it seems to me that if the whole industry realizes they can, for now anyway, maybe for a long time, they can take an MCF and make, or energy, and make more, and compute, make more money with AI than with Bitcoin mining. I don't know how long Bitcoin is going to be popular. That's my thinking. But there might be, the idea is to have it, and you're have with an LV, not have, but have. And it's going to make it worth more. But that's if it actually has the value of money and all that. The other thing about Bitcoin, which hasn't been tested, by the way, but as gold and silver start way outperforming other assets, and it's a buzz, even you guys start talking, and it's in the headlines, I wonder how Bitcoin stands up to that. We'll find out. I would rather be in gold, silver, and oil and natural gas right now than Bitcoin. But doesn't mean I'm right. Ward Richardson, William, this just in, Anthropic is going after the middle market software infrastructure companies. Do you think they're going to buy Railtown? But see, Railtown would be better off, I think, entering into some sort of arrangement rather than being sold so they could stay neutral. Who knows? Wow, Ward, that's amazing information. Pete the Geek. Pete the Greek. That's how I have you on my list. Pete the Greek. Only 26 cents in my account. I need to I need to transfer $1 for my barrage. I put it, the one share you bought 2 days ago and then one yesterday, I added it. It is here. Those 2 shares are in this count. Your barrage. Giuseppe, did anyone see D-Dog earnings? The companies in the software as a solution sector revenue and year-over-year growth unreal. Crowd, is that Crowd? Yeah, I'm not positive. Net, Snowflake, ZS, Railtown soon. Datadog, what is this CRWD? Is that CoreWeave? CoreWeave? I don't know. Anyway, you're talking more about the AI directed software as a service sector. I think companies that are strictly, old software, they're having a tough time. Giuseppe, D's plan is communism. Who's D? Donald's plan? No. D's plan. D's plan is communism. D. I see I'm being dim-witted. I don't know who D is. It'll come to me maybe, but I'm missing it. Sorry. Donna, hello everyone. Hi Donna. Giuseppe, nice to be in something that can explode because of fundamentals. No tricks, no promotions, no squeeze plays, etc. Good old-fashioned revenues in a sizable market and impressible multiples. Yes. But remember, Giuseppe, what we're looking for is not necessarily revenues next week, a month, whatever. Yeah, I think that'll happen, but it's really the forward projection that's going to make it go. I think the initial 20, 30x. But anyway, it'll be both too. Anything's better than nothing. There's no revenues now that we know of. T. Alex, hang on. I want to just see, since I just mentioned earlier it wasn't there, but I want to just see if they've updated their report. No. So I guess it'll be tomorrow. Or Canada. Oh, Canada. Maybe they operate on a different time zone. So I'll keep checking. T. Alex, like Ham was saying, we're going to get a special dividend with Finger. Lots of laughs. Well, Finger doesn't look, I said for a while there the chart looked good. It doesn't look good at all now on a technical basis, but that's kind of irrelevant, I guess. Something can go on at Finger. Look, my opinion with GDC, they just made it run. That's my opinion. They just did it from whatever it was up to 8, 10. They made the money. Maybe they didn't make as much as they wanted, but they made the money. And now they'll move on to one of the other stocks in this portfolio of nags. Nag. And maybe they'll make something run, but the special dividend and many strategies that were tried in GTII and a lot of stocks, they're all meant to catch the shorting out and cause them to have a hard time to fulfill the new obligation and have to cover or be bought in. And the granddaddy of all of that was when MMAT reverse merged into Torchlight to get the NASDAQ listing. For some reason, that's coveted. It's just a slaughterhouse that is soundproofed and has air conditioning and has water, stainless steel, so the water gets the offal and the blood out of there. But it still does what the stockyards and the mud, the ground level wooden slaughterhouse, the wet market does otherwise in the over-the-counter market. It's the same destruction. And anyway, MMTLP didn't trade. That was the oil, the oil assets were disgorged. Well, that probably got shorts in trouble because they might have had 1 or 2 billion short. And that really was a problem because Nexbridge didn't trade. And they were shorting MMAT. They had been shorting Torchlight way back, and they were shorting MMTLP. And then all of a sudden, it's not hidden anymore. And there's no place to just let the big I don't know what analogy, but just the big amount of shares just to go out there and float and no one can really tell because it didn't trade. Well, so what they did, they illegally got MMTLP to trade. All they had to do was get one share to trade in Chicago, as I understand it, from Frankfurt. And once it trades once, then the way the rules are, anybody can start trading it or something like that. They don't keep records in Europe because they don't care about us. And then here, they got a rule in after 3 years, they can destroy all the records. And Wagner wants to protect your privacy and not have an audited trail of trades. So the whole thing is a trail of tears. But anyway, that's the granddaddy of all manipulations. And it almost happened. It wasn't a manipulation. It happened by happenstance. And the system, the whole collection of these crooks, and many of them you idolize on national TV, they're just all a bunch of crooks. not all of them, but the network that does this. Jamie Dimon could stop it in a minute. But anyway, it didn't cause a squeeze. And when maybe it was squeezing by the reports of where the trades were, there were trades at 2,400 a share, but Jessica Hopper stopped it. Hey, force majeure, I guess. And well, you see it. I just don't believe that any of the gimmicks or plays that we have work. One that works, which Giuseppe pointed out, one that'll work is revenues. Revenues will slap them upside their collective brainless heads. Jack Hamilton, good late afternoon, Mr. William and RT members. Peace, love, happiness. Jack Hamilton, hey, Donna M. Jack Hamilton, Mr. William, please put me down for an additional 1308. You're catching up with Donna. Donna is starting to get nervous. She is going to have to sell that gold coin for anything she can get to keep ahead of you. That's what's great here. Everybody's rooting for each other, no matter how many shares we have. Some of these people are going to be Railtown magnates. 674. Good for you. Good job, Jack. No, I probably still won't catch Donna. How'd you know I was going to say that? I'm that obvious, I guess. Anyway, you'll get to 100, and that's to me. Donna was the first one there, of not the people that went to the stratosphere, and it's good enough. It's good enough. It's great, in fact. Donna M, hello. Not yet, Jack, but you're getting closer. Ward Richardson, William, Anthropic has recently faced major reliability issues due to 3 engineering missteps. 1, they didn't talk to Corey Brandolini. 2, they didn't talk to Marwan Haddad. 3, they didn't call up Dr. Elliott. Rambling Dr. Jack Elliott. Okay, what are the 3 engineering missteps? Debugging, Railtown, code leaks, Railtown, security issues, Railtown. Donna M. Ward, that all sounds like problems RT could solve. Spot on. Donna gets it. I think they are problems Railtown already solves. Justin Babish, I did purchase an additional 1,100 security entitlements of Railtown today. Good for you. But the thing is, they'll trade just like any other stock. Justin Babish. Good for you. Awesome. By the way, Justin, you bring up something that we may have to talk about at some time, and I'll pose it to you. If at some point there's some trigger that causes a lot of buying, could there be a short squeeze in Railtown? Because I don't know, around June or maybe around July, the Tom Ronk report, I think, was at 52 or 54 million shares sold under the reg show exemption in the United States. They didn't have a way to track it in Canada. So there is shorting. We see it all the time, but we don't know if there's any hiding it, moving it to Frankfurt, putting in a warehouse and setting the tickets on fire. They don't need to do that anymore. After 3 years, the SEC has allowed them to just destroy the evidence. Why do you destroy evidence when you can store nearly endless amounts of information now? I don't get it. I do get it. The banks do this on purpose. So what if something made it, Ron, and maybe, just maybe, there's, I don't know, 20 or 30 million shares that are still sitting short somewhere or undelivered, and it, for some oddball reason, it did just start climbing to the stratosphere, not the huge, like to the moon, not to Pluto. Would you sell it or sell part of it? It's a really tricky question because and we'll talk about it later. I won't drag it out here, but what's it worth? That I was talking actually with Ward this morning, and that's one thing a lot of you people don't have in your mind. What is the company worth? I need more details. It just never ends. It just never ends. You can never get anything into the system. UPS require additional details before it can be delivered. It's just endless. I don't think, maybe that's spam, maybe it's not relevant to me. Anyway, if, for example, the stock went to 25, for me, it's easy. No sale, no way, no play. But if it went to 50, some of you might say, well, I want to sell some. To me, no sale. If it went to 75, I'd still, for me, no sale. But what if it went to 125 or 150 or heaven forfend, it went to 200? Would you sell a little bit? Sell it all? For me, I'm not sure I would, but maybe what I would sell is, some, like if I had, some rounding error, like there's 13,000 something above a round number, maybe I'd sell that and try to play with that. Or maybe I would sell calls against my position at a higher strike price and not care if it got taken away, and maybe get lucky. And if it went down, I'd catch that premium on the way down. But I would be, for me anyway, at this point, I would be so concerned that I couldn't rebuild my position. I don't know. It's really hard to get across to people But most of this stock here, 20,800,000 shares, what you bought doesn't exist. As Justin points out, there's security entitlements. This, I doubt any of this stock, if you had Ann Wagner's approval on a consolidated audit trail, I doubt any of that stock's real. Any of it. But it has to be honored. It has to be honored. Because nobody's selling. Nobody's selling. I mean, some hot hands are selling, but the hot hands bought probably security entitlements anyway. So anyway, my point being, I guess, Justin, if I don't know, if we sold collectively, we sold 2 or 3 million shares at some number, there's an intermediate squeeze, we might not be able to buy them back. So it's a real trade-off, but we'll wait. I hope it doesn't happen, and we can talk about it as things percolate. We don't have to waste time thinking about it now. Justin Babish, however, my experience was different than normal. Usually I go over the ask and get filled under the ask. Today, I put my order in above the ask, and not only did that not fill under the ask, it filled at the elevated price point I set my limit order for. And it had to be in multiple settlements just to get my total position to trade. Wow, Justin, see, that's a little clue to me that with the rights, that's a great position. Not as big as Donna's, but it's big. It's great. That shows me, and I saw it yesterday with my measly 545 shares. I put it in the ask. I put it actually at the market open. I put it in the middle. I think I put it at the day before's close, or I put it in between the bid and the ask. Not because I recommend that during the day, but on the opening trade and the closing trade, you can sometimes get, if your range is is beyond the in whichever direction where it closes, sometimes you get that filled. And but it didn't happen. And so I changed it and I put it in at the ask. And just like you, that was the first time ever that I remember I got filled at the ask. I know it's not a big order, but it's an interesting thing to watch. Ward Richardson, you got that right, Donna. Just so you are aware, I have a big grin on my face now. That's because he has no chin. Has no chin left. Donna M. Me too, Ward. I'll be buying. I'll be buy 100 more tomorrow when my money clears. $100. We're in Ocala till Sunday. Then we're heading back to Virginia till next fall. We've been going since December. Yeah, that's worth doing. As Ward might point out to you, that $100 might be worth a lot of money. Donna, no, I'm not proofing what I'm typing before I hit send. Ward Richardson, Donna, where about in Virginia do you live? Donna, between Richmond and Williamsburg in Quinton, Virginia. It was a rural community, but it's one of the fastest growing counties in Virginia in the last few years. We've lived there 38 years. Well, that 64, I wouldn't want to be a tree on 64 if there's any left. I find it a shame. It used to be so beautiful from Richmond east, but man, they're turning it in. I'm trying to remember, 3 lanes each way. I think it's 3 lanes each way. They've just taken down all the trees. It's such a shame. But I think it's because of the data centers, and I think it's because of the Navy, and I think it's because of the growth of population in Virginia. It might be I can't remember it. It might be that brewery. I can't remember the name of it, with all the Anheuser-Busch products. Can't remember the name of it. All right. Donna Ward. Donna, I live in Northern Virginia for 35 years now. Donna, I was hypothetically thinking about asking my mother-in-law for $2,500 to finish funding my Roth until my husband gives me the money. I never asked her for money before in 40 years, and I doubt I'll do it now. Money can change relationships, so I think it might be worth not doing it. Donna M., I've been shocked to see what the governor had been doing since she took office and I've been gone. It makes me feel like crying. I can't stand her. I can't stand that governor. She's CIA. She's CIA. But she's also and they canceled a big data center. It wasn't just the Richmond government, it was the upswell of locals. I don't know. I don't know. It's probably the wrong thing to do, but I don't know. Steve, what ever happened to Northwest Iowa? Corn happened there. Corn, that's what happened to Northwest Iowa. Justin Babish, when it comes time to sell at an elevated price point, how about my strategy could be to close out specific blocks? I don't know. I mean, look, if you guys get through the first 30, 40, 50x, I mean, who's to blame you for doing, what you want? But I just don't know, Justin. I guess what I would point out is companies like Cohere or Confluent or any of these data companies and AI companies that have such big valuations, 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 7 years ago, they were zero. And some of them got their big valuation in the large language model space, or some of them got them in other areas of the AI story. But that's not what's hot now. What's hot now is exactly where Railtown is. And I think it's not hot as a fad. I think there's a realization to make everything work, you need what Railtown provides. Now there's competition, but it's so huge. And I agree with Ward. And it's one of my things I'm excited to see proven. I think Railtown's better than anybody else out there, first and better. But it sure is making us wait a little bit. I'm going to show you, if I get to it, I'm going to show you a couple of things that might explain why which is all good, but it might explain some of this. In other words, the industry is growing at such a pace that I guess it would be like a boom town, in the old West, where you had a lot of, you know, whatever bars, and and you had the brothels up above, and you had the piano players and because the gambling maybe in the back, and you had tables and whatever. You have all these things you need, but maybe it's such a boom town that uh, there's 5 of these places, and they're all waiting for the roulette wheel, the first roulette wheel, or they're all waiting for the first shipment of chiquitas from wherever they come. You know what I mean? It could just be that it's the backlog and the demand is holding everything up. But anyway, I don't think this is a stock to trade out of. And Ward can pitch in maybe, and you'll listen to Ward more than you'll listen to me, Justin. But if and I should have looked it up, but if Railtown gets to $1 billion of revenue and it's growing, it's not out of this world if everything else stays the same. War, crashes, those aren't the same. But I see Railtown could be $200, $300, $400, $500 a share in a lot of environments, just based on revenue and growth. It sounds absurd right now, but it's happened to other companies, and particularly if Railtown stays neutral and gets in the multi-billion-dollar revenue area and growing, which right now isn't evident. You have to sit down and make projections and assumptions, and I think they're good assumptions, but the fact is they are assumptions, and you shouldn't make assumptions. You make an ass out of you and umption. Justin Babish, this way, if my broker has a connection to that specific block and had come from a naked short, that specific block needs to be covered by the originator. I think we overthink it. I really don't think there is such a thing as any connection at all. I really don't. You guys don't understand that what Bill Clinton did was he took that away. There's 100 million shares in the float, or something like that. And I'm going to ignore Canada because I don't know what it's called up there. And so it's probably in the Canadian clearinghouse, not the US. But conceptually, there's 100 million shares at the DTCC. Now they're held maybe in, it's split up into many different brokerage firms, but it's all street name. And so what you're buying, what I'm buying, when we put in the order, is these multiple brokerage firms all do it, probably, but let's just say one. What we're buying we're buying what the stock loan desk sells us. And it's multiple places. And no one forces the issue. But you're right, on a specific firm, if there's a sudden rush, that's why there's all these delays in getting anything done with delivery, because they want to not be in the position where they're in trouble. But I don't believe, Justin, that there's a number, or if there is a number on this, they follow it. You would argue that they can track everything, but I think intentionally they don't. And so if it's out there at, it may be 2-1, right now, I personally don't think any of this street name stock's ever been sold. All of the stock that gets it out to 2-1 on that, I think it's all from the stock loan desk, and compliance doesn't check to see if it's actually been borrowed or located. So it's all, I personally don't think there's any link at all. And what could cause trouble in the case of Railtown for that system, they don't have toxic financing to suppress it. And if revenue explode, forward revenue projections explode, oh my gosh, it's like a run on the bank. And so that could happen, but I don't think it really is specific blocks. I think we expect too much. I think they intentionally obfuscate all of it, or they just don't care. But I wouldn't do blocks. I don't know. I'm really thinking that we shouldn't sell. But I also have to acknowledge, if you get a huge move, it's hard to, sit there and not. Jim Cramer, in one of his books, he made the point over and again, they're just pieces of paper. And we got to remember that too. Donna is, I don't know if she's going to find that a compliment or not, but she certainly is the king or queen of Railtown. Steve says hi and congratulations, Donna. Unknown, Northeast Iowa? Oh, are you talking about somebody that used to come on here? I don't know. I don't know where they are. PS 71. Hello, Sir Bill. How are you? Ward Richardson. William, that 30-cent hits 500. You should be looking at $270,000. Not too shabby for a $185 investment. So if that 30-cent buy, or 30, whatever, hits $500 a share, you could be looking at $270,000. Not too shabby for a $185 investment. Yeah, this happens. This happens. Not every day. G. Diddy. Good evening, William. Please add. Yay. G. Diddy. I love these. As Pete put it, I love this barrage. I think it's great. 700 security entitlements. Credit to Justin Babish for today's terminology to my personal account. I will do so, sir. Great job. CJ Yukon. Sorry for the late response, but I hit 100K today. Yay! Everybody is imitating Donna. Everybody wants to be Donna. CJ Yukon. Awesome. That is awesome, CJ. You guys are all great here today. All right, let me see what I have. 7:13. I'm not sure I want to go too late today, but I owe it to you because I was at the doctor. Let me just go through these first quickly. In one case, it probably doesn't matter. And I don't know, there's no particular order. But this is finger motions chart. I see a trend there. I don't know if any of you see that trend, but it just circles around, coils around a certain, maybe you could say it's circling around those moving averages, but when it goes up, comes down, sometimes it's down, comes back in that range. But overall, if you got excited in here when it ran up to the moving average and held on without selling, like most of us do, then you get out of that trading range, if I'm accurate, and you come all the way to the other extreme of the trading range, and none of us traded. If with finger over the last year, and it's easy to look at it over the last year, if you had traded every time it went up, there's probably, you could, a way to measure that's 2 degrees up or 6 degrees up from a smooth trend. I don't know. I'm not a mathematician. But every time it's up, if you had sold part of your position and then held cash and maybe just didn't do anything till it came down to a bottom here, and then when it rallied to the middle or all the way to the top again, sell. As a trader, you would have made money. But instead, we all do it. We just hold it. Well, I just wanted to show you here on finger, when it was, if you go inward about 2 weeks, you see that straight up, the black straight up, and then it hit the blue, which I think's the 50-day moving average. It pulled back to the green, which is the 20, and it went back up and almost through the blue. That's when I said that might be setting up. We got, that might be ready to do something. Maybe we got to watch it. But now it's broken down, and I technically take back what I said. I don't see anything good right now. It can always change, but the stock is under $1. And I tell you, they got to raise money. So, but things can happen. They could have a merger. They could have a big contract. But anyway, that's finger. What's this one? This is NRGV. This is how I see this when I look at the chart. I mean, you can look at a lot of different things. I think in a way that's resistance and it becomes support. But what what drew my eye is that gap. And then it, you know, it trades through to the other high. This MACD's turning down here. I guess I would say I'm a little bit neutral on that. I would caution that if it breaks the moving average here, it'll bounce back up, but that would be a signal to me to get out. On the upside, I think the highs are going to be pretty good resistance. However, it could be with that gap there that a lot of people sold out already. So on the other hand, if it bounces off this, if I'm correct about this being some sort of resistance line, it doesn't mean I'm right, and it bounces off and it starts to get some legs, if it breaks through the highs, you might get a bit of a run. But I would emphasize, I see nothing here that you're going to suddenly have an explosive upside. And as I'm looking at it right now, I kind of see a head and shoulders where is that you call that an epaulette? I don't know what you call it on the shoulder. You see one over here in the middle, and then it comes down a bit. You see the head, and now you're forming another one here. That's not a good thing. But, you know, it's all in the eyes of the beholder. That certainly, that stock has certainly did well, as I think it was Dirty Randy pointed out from down here. He said, well, you know, don't judge it. You don't trash it if you don't know it. And he was right. It went on to have a nice run, but I don't know. I would want to see more strength before I said I felt technically that something. I don't know. I just don't see evidence there that it's the strongest thing, but I could be wrong. And this is G-Bucks, but this, and I didn't draw the line very well because my implement moved. But again, do you see a pattern there? I do. And I guess what it really says is avoid. I don't think I did GDC for, oh no, I did. Here it is. I didn't realize I did it. I must have been distracted. But on this chart, I thought this, anyway, here it is. On this chart, you see a trend line here, and it broke at around 340. What it did is it broke all of those moving averages. The computers know those moving averages. You're not up against human beings. You're up against robots that have no feelings. And when it breaks, they start selling. Boy, did they lose control of that. You can barely see the volume. It's a lighter red there, but that's a huge jump in volume. Look at all the volume pictures going all the way to the bottom. You have to come all the way over here to see any volume at all. The rest is, anyway. I think it probably can't go any lower because it's at the bottom of the page. All right, so that's GDC. And this is Railtown. And so here on Railtown, I'll start with those red. I tried to do little, cups, but I wasn't very good. I see there, and it may be just because I want to see it, but I see an upside down head and shoulders. There's not much evidence in this stock of how high the move could be, but it's very bullish. If I'm right about it, doesn't matter. There's other good things here other than this, but if it breaks here to the upside, the move could be really dramatic. This isn't, they call it a neckline, but I guess you could, head and shoulders are above the neck. I guess it's a neckline. It's on a slant, but that's all right. That's all right. That's one pattern I see there. The other one is I drew in the yellow. I drew Ricky's line. It's now moved all the way over here, but I drew Ricky's line on a horizontal. I think that's a pretty accurate read of support, but there's not a lot of readings. So, it might be right. I think it's right. But that's what the chart shows right now. That is support. And then you've got this long trend here, which actually I think is a pretty good reflection of resistance. And I think it's pretty accurate. At the top in the middle, you obviously can see it hit that number and came down. And then here recently in February, in 3, it hit a number, I can't quite read it, 40 cents, and it came down. And then here in March, it hit a number probably around 36 cents, and then it came all the way down. And then here recently, hit around 34, 35, and it's been trending down. And now it's hitting in this, 33 range, but the line is descending. So the resistance number is ever decreasing. And what that means is if it decisively breaks out of this pennant formation, this part of a triangle formation, it could be quite meaningful. What I see here, ignoring the one at the top, I don't think that one counts when you draw a line. That's my opinion. I don't believe I'm wrong either. You count the first attempt to break, which was in February, it failed. I count that clutter there as the second attempt in March, and it breaks down. You count the recent attempt at the end of April, that's the third time. And maybe this is the fourth time. Maybe. That's one way to read it. If it breaks from here, it's going to be pretty impressive. On the other hand, I've got to call it the way I see it, that if this triangle is drawn correctly, it's got to go one way or the other because the triangle's finished. So it's either going to break out or break down. And it could do either, frankly. It could do either. I don't think if it breaks down that it goes below, I didn't draw it, but I don't think it goes below 30 cents. My friend, I showed you his chart. He thought it needed to spike down in the 27 cents range. I don't agree with him, but either way, it's not a big deal. And I don't think it'll last long. All right, final thing here is this broad range here between sort of 40 cents and 44 cents that I colored in. I think that's the resistance horizontally. And we haven't gone 3 times in there. You might if you want to argue that it's 2, but I have to say it's just once that we've tried to test it. So there might be more than 1 or 2 rallies there, pullbacks, rally again, pullback, rally again, and then finally break through. Don't know. But I see that as a pretty significant barrier or resistance absent some sort of trigger. But that's not bad. The good side of that is what if and when we get through it, it becomes support. And you can chop all of this below it off of your memory. You can just say, well, we're not going down there again. So anyway, that's how I see that for the time being. And I remind you that I'm not as good as, say, Anarcha or others. I just have my experience over the years. I don't claim to be a technician. You might wonder what I claim to be. It's a good question. It's a good question. All right, let's see what else I have. What I have is I think these are all new. I think all of this is new. We'll see what it says. I'm keen to see what it says. I hope this war hasn't gotten better. Let's see if they filed that filing. Bigger. I didn't mean to say better. I meant bigger. So depressing. I don't know why we had to do this. All right. Let me see what it says. Bomb, bomb, bomb. Bomb, bomb, bomb. Bomb, bomb. Trump unleashes midnight strikes. Yeah, we already read that. Another Wall Street giant flees blue state for Texas. Is that Kenny G? Another corporate giant is trying to quit Delaware for Texas. Dell Technologies. What am I looking up? Oh, the war. Let's skip talking about the war. It's so depressing. Here's something. This is something Ward sent me. And I think I can read the whole article, although the Globe and Mail has a paywall, but I think I got one free article. SoundHound AI introduces Oasis, OASYS, the world's first self-learning orchestrated agentic AI platform where AI builds AI. Agents build agents. Software builds software. These. Anyway, the what the headline says to me is 2 or 3 things. Self-learning. It's going to start speeding up, and Railtown's agents or their software is all self-learning. It's battle hardened, battle tested. Part of the reason there's been no revenue is they kind of just gave it away because it was a proving ground and they wanted what Railtown has is 3, 4, 5, maybe you count longer years of a head start. And it's robust. Anyway, that's one thing I see there. And that Railtown is self-learning. But it's the orchestrated agentic AI platform. Well, I don't think this is competition to us. It emphasized agentic AI, which is agents and agents. And it, I think, might bring out that, hey, it's another market for Railtown if Railtown stays neutral. I guess the final thing is SoundHound sounds like a good company. SoundHound trades for SoundHound, SOUN, stock price, SoundHound. Wow, it's down from where it was. They used to be like 25 smackers. But the enterprise value is $4 billion for SoundHound. We're what, 80 million? Well, in the United States, we're 60 million, maybe 50, 55 million. But you can buy SoundHound for $4 billion. I actually think it's cheap. The 52-week range, 483 to 22. Wow, SoundHound. I think that dog does hunt. All right, let's go to the next part of that article. SoundHound AI introduces Oasis, the world's first self-learning orchestrated agentic AI platform where AI builds AI. May 5, SoundHound AI Inc., a global leader in voice and agentic AI, today announced the launch of Oasis orchestrated agent system. This category-defining platform powers AI agents that build, learn, and proactively improve themselves. They study French. Autonomously, enabling business to do in minutes what once took months. AI is not going to stop. Minutes versus months? Whew. These multilingual AI, that's in terms of software, lingual AI agents engage users wherever they are, resolving complex customer queries and executing transactions across virtually any channel or device. You know, reading it, it sounds so much like Railtown. There's part of me that wonders if Railtown isn't already in there, but that is probably really hallucinating on my part. Backed by the dependability of robust enterprise-grade guardrails. It just sounds so Railtown, like it's white paper under there, but I don't know. Don't believe me because I might be just really, that might be more hope than reality. Oasis marks a new chapter for SoundHound, combining the technical strengths of its recent strategic acquisitions into a single comprehensive agentic ecosystem that allows businesses to deploy fleets of orchestrated AI agents to serve customers and employees, completing tasks, processing transactions, and executing complex workflows across both digital and physical spaces. It may be they acquired a bunch of and rolled up a bunch of small AI companies and have created a competitor to Railtown too. But it doesn't escare me. It doesn't escare me. While most agentic AI platforms only focus on helping developers build agents, Oasis is designed to manage the entire life cycle by automatically creating, orchestrating, evaluating, and improving agents over time. Oasis, that's when they go to the self-help meetings and they turn to God and, stop drinking. Oasis dynamically selects and coordinates multiple AI agents within a single interaction, enabling complex tasks to be completed seamlessly across systems and channels, like a well-organized, high-performing agentic team. This capability marks a fundamental shift in the role of AI from something that must be continuously built and maintained to a system that actively evolves based on real-world uses. For businesses, this has a direct impact on the bottom line, resulting in lower operational costs and more opportunities to drive revenues. Quote, with Oasis, we are fundamentally shifting from static AI, that's the AI 1.0, to a self-learning ecosystem where AI builds, manages, and actively improves itself. That's agentic AI. This allows businesses to accomplish in minutes what once took months of manual effort, said Keyvan Mohar, CEO and co-founder of SoundHound AI, with the option to deploy agents across multiple touch points from phones and web chats to in-vehicle infotainment and in-store kiosks. Businesses can use this new platform to deliver fluid conversational resolutions as part of a dynamic customer experience that gets better and better, unquote. It sounds so Railtown-ish, but never fear. If it's competition, they're just claiming another part of the space. But this is what Railtown also has positioned as. Number one, AI that builds AI. Traditionally, enterprise AI has followed a static build and deploy model, which requires constant manual developer maintenance as conditions change. Developers. Oasis disrupts this by introducing a self-learning ecosystem where AI builds, manages, and improves AI, all within the enterprise-grade security and compliance guardrails. I'll be back. Using proprietary capabilities and simple users' instructions, Oasis can build entire sets of functioning agents in minutes. My gosh. The platform automatically ingests existing documentation and transcripts while assessing integrations. It sounds so much like Railtown. They either blow Railtown away by acquiring a bunch of smaller firms, or is it too much to hope they're using Railtown? To ensure full transparency, Oasis visualizes key transaction flows, providing developers with clear step-by-step insight into the exact logic that AI has generated. It sounds so bloody similar. All right, two, self-learning AI that takes the initiative. Once live, the platform enters a state of autonomous refinement as Oasis carefully evaluates workflows and performance gaps and areas for improvement. It then autonomously engineers its own updates and presents them to human experts, This eliminates the maintenance tax typically associated with AI deployments, ensuring that the platform grows more efficient the more it is used. 3, AI agents in any setting. SoundHound's platform allows businesses to build an agent once and deploy it across phones, texts, web chats, in-store kiosks, social media, TVs, and even in-vehicle infotainment systems. This delivers the promise of production-ready and fully scalable AI that is built for the real world. Other key capabilities of Oasis, high fidelity, and its natural interaction provides human quality voice AI, nag, 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 handling interruptions and instant intent-driven requests across mobile, car, and home environments to resolve complex workflows like catching your wife with a different man. Agentic and orchestration framework, autonomous reasoning with rule-based guardrails and human touch points, sensitive tasks automated. Boy, man, it sounds so much like this. Persistent cross-channel context. Agents maintain perfect context across different love affairs and languages, allowing for seamlessly hopping between different girlfriends. Anyway, it all sounds the same as to me, it all sounds the same as Railtown. Is it competition or is it cooperation? I don't know. Examples: call center automation, handling complex customer inquiries. This is not good for humans in call centers. Real-time assist on the sales floor. It's not good for salesmen. Outbound retention of scale at scale. It flirts with your customers and retains them. It's amazing. Everyday tasks without a queue. Amazing that no waiting, low latency, drive-through ordering, no screen required. Amazing. Driving the future of agentic enterprise. SoundHound is recognizing, listen to this, whether or not they're competing or cooperating with us, it's such a huge market. Listen to what SoundHound is saying. SoundHound is recognizing the tectonic shift happening in customer service, said Haley Sutherland, research manager, conversational AI, IDC. Oasis and agentic platforms like it are becoming more important as AI governance and guardrails continue to evolve to meet enterprise demands. We believe this platform represents the new gold standard for voice agentic AI. With Oasis, it's not just about answering questions. It's about self-learning agentic ecosystems that solve problems and evolve alongside a business, said Kai Mitchell, president of Experius US, part of Manpower Group. This will undoubtedly change the game, allowing our mutual clients to scale AI operations at speed that was previously impossible. Another one. All right. Our experience with conversational AI has shown how powerful it can be in enhancing the guest journey while freeing our team to focus on cleaning up the toilets. Shannon McCollum, Vice President of Hotel Operations at Resorts World Las Vegas. As AI adoption accelerates, businesses are looking for solutions which can deliver real measurable outcomes, says Andrew Pry Fogel, head of CXAI and global education lead at Avant. All right, we're done with that. We are done with that. I just wanted to show you the Chardin Capital that cheated you, helped cheat you, whether they knew it or not. I believe they were part of it, but that's my opinion, that cheated you out of collective audience. They're a buy and they're making a ton of money. I'm not going to read it. It makes me sick to my stomach. And that's my nightmare dealing with I can't get anything done. All right, now I want to go to Zaid Atufat Shamsi. 6 months ago, excited to share another great step forward in building the Canadian AI ecosystem. TELUS Sovereign AI Factory is providing state-of-the-art AI infrastructure and platform that empowers Railtown AI and its vast community of developers to leverage one of the most powerful and secure AI infrastructures in Canada. This ensures data and compute stay within Canadian borders, operated sustainably under full Canadian control. Under the visionary leadership of one Corey Brandolini, Railtown AI has demonstrated how Canadian talent is enabling groundbreaking solutions that allow AI developers to build and deploy agentic solutions at unprecedented speed. Looking forward to continuing our collaboration with the Railtown AI team and expanding TELUS AI Factory offerings to becoming the full stack solution for agentic AI developers in Canada. Together, we are accelerating innovation while keeping Canadian. I think, as I read that, and again, maybe I'm too rose-colored glasses, I think it pretty much says that he's built this great data center and Railtown is plop on top of it or in it. But you can look it up and reread it yourself and see what you think. Zaid Atufat Shamsi, 2 months ago. As the world accelerates toward AI native companies building generative, agentic, and physical AI system, one question stands out. Where will all this intelligence be powered from? More and more, the answer points north, but not to Alaska. Canada offers a rare combination of unmatched qualities on the global stage. Abundant power capacity, both renewable and conventional, ensuring sustainability meets scalability. Ultra-fast fiber connectivity that keeps AI workloads moving at the speed of innovation. Clever. A stable, reliable geopolitical climate where long-term investments can thrive. Operational excellence across utilities, data centers, and cloud ecosystems. And most importantly, world-class talent capable of running the entire AI stack from chips and clusters to models and applications. There is no better place than Canada to power the next generation of AI factories, the physical and digital engines of modern intelligence. I think since we're getting on 8 and I haven't eaten, I'm going to stop with the rest of not too fat's comments. He's not fat at all. All right, the last one isn't coming up. There it is, the first in the series. Zaid Atufat Shamsi, NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang famously described AI factories as a 5-layer cake: energy, chips, infrastructure, models, applications. Optimizing any single layer in isolation misses the bigger picture. Why? Vertical integration wins. As we push the boundaries of AI data centers, true efficiency demands a vertically integrated solution. Each layer is deeply interconnected. Energy powers chips, infrastructure scales models, and applications deliver value. Fragmented stacks lead to latency, vulnerabilities, and downtime. A seamless vertical approach ensures end-to-end security, unified encryption from power grid to app deployment, high availability, redundant systems across layers for 99.999% uptime. That's a lot of uptime. You got to get it up. We got to get it up before we can get down. Speed to service. Rapid provisioning without integration bottlenecks. This cake looks delicious, but building it requires precision engineering, not just stacking off-the-shelf components. Achieving a truly vertically integrated AI factory is a masterclass in cross-stack optimization, where we must engineer past modular silos to solve for the friction between layers. I'd say he's pretty committed to making the stack. He reposted Zaid Atufat Shamsi did. Nico Caprez's post. And listen to this. Save 35x per million tokens by paying 2x more per GPU per hour. So look at it. Look at 3 things here. You pay more for the NVIDIA chip, access to NVIDIA compute, but you get 35 times the productivity. Also, right here, it's telling you that the not lingua franca, but the coin of the realm is going to be tokens. And then it, I think, tells you that NVIDIA AI factories with Telus, and I think with Railtown, are going to be it. How much? I don't know. And again, I may be projecting my own optimism, but how much of that 35x comes from a highly productive, efficient, and powerful software engineering layer like Railtown? I don't know. All right, NVIDIA. Cost per token is the metric that defines inference TCO. It's a love, TKO, TCO, total control over others. TCO, tender care, or TCO, total compute. Cost per token is the metric that defines inference time. I don't know what TCO is, sorry. Not compute costs or flops per dollar. Cost per token. It's what determines whether AI can scale efficiently and profitably in the real world. Tokens, cost per token. NVIDIA Blackwell, which delivers the lowest cost per token in the industry, is available through leading providers like CoreWeave, Nebius, Nscale, and Together AI. And I'll show you, NVIDIA delivers the lowest token cost. Why it's the one metric to have when you're having more than one. Why it's the one metric that matters when evaluating inference TCO. I got to look that up. It drives me crazy. Inference TCO. Total cost of ownership. All right, it's very obvious now. So dollars per GPU hour, 2x, you pay more. But flops in dollars, I guess, are also 2 more. What is a flop? Lordy. So tokens per watt, 50x. And the cost per token, so I guess it's more efficient. You get to power 50 tokens per unit of energy. So I guess that's what it means. It's much more efficient. So the cost per token is 35 times lower. Cost per millions of tokens. And there's a formula here. Let's not focus on it because I can barely read it. And then Zaid Atufat-Shamsi says 6 months ago, did I already read this? No, I didn't. Grateful for the incredible collaboration with the Ernst Young Canada team in successfully deploying the EY Advanced Agenics AI solution, Flexigen, into the TELUS Sovereign AI Factory. EY Flexigen brings unparalleled flexibility and intelligence, empowering organizations to harness the full potential of agentic AI, driving automation, adaptability, smarter decision-making at scale. This solution is truly transformative, enabling enterprises to accelerate AI adoption with confidence and precision. At TELUS Sovereign AI Factory, we are proud to deliver cutting-edge tools like Flexigen, designed to help enterprises deploy AI solutions at the speed demanded by the agentic era. Together, we are shaping the future of AI-driven innovation and operational excellence. The only thing that would be better is together we are shaping the future and using Railtown. Maybe they are. Maybe they are. I don't know. Am I being too presumptive? I don't know. Saeed Atufat-Shamsi, 7 months ago. Thanks to the Pacific Energy Innovation Association and BC Hydro for hosting a fantastic event and the opportunity to share our journey in building one of Canada's largest and truly sovereign AI factories. It was energizing to see the strong interest in how AI data centers are shaping both innovation and the future of power. See it? At TELUS, we are proud to be pioneering a sovereign AI data center network that protects data privacy and digital sovereignty, drives innovation across public and private sectors, builds sustainable, energy efficient infrastructure for Canada's AI future. Excited to continue working together to ensure Canada leads with trusted, homegrown AI infrastructure. And here is Zaid Atufat Shamsi, and you can see, far from being Atufat, it looks slim and trim. All right, let's go back to your questions. Silver and gold prices are going up. I have 40 ounces of silver on outright, and if I get 80 an ounce, I could sell it for 3,200. Well, Donna, here's what you got to know about that. I think I don't know. Silver's highly volatile. It is the most manipulated commodity on the planet. There's probably 26 cowboys in London and New York, maybe Chicago, that trade paper silver with leverage. And like all Western commodities, they're priced on the margin. This China might change. This Russia might change. And by the way, this war might speed that up. But for now, they price it on the margin. So they have great leverage to suppression. And the fact is, even though I believe I love silver as an investment, we have to recognize that they can manipulate it and put it in a big stall downward. And they've done it in the past. However, I think the odds of that are low. And I think over the next month to 4 months, silver could easily triple. And that might frustrate you. However, let's take your 40 ounces. I mean, this is how I would do it. I really don't own silver. I mean, I might have 10 ounces somewhere or something, but I don't own it, which I'm very frustrated with. I thought that I was going to have a chance to build a position, but that did not materialize. And I think it might be something to do with Railtown, but I can't change it. Anyway, Donna, so you currently have 40 ounces. And if silver goes to, let's use the number 250. Let's say it goes to 300 by September or in September. Your 40 ounces of silver, that might be a little too high, but I do think it has the chance to get to 200, 250. But silver also has the chance at any time to become unobtainable. But I don't think we're there yet. So if we compare it, that silver, your 40 ounces worth right now 3,200. We just try to go to the maximum, which could be low or it could be high. But in our head, we say, all right, in September, maybe it's worth 12,000. Well, if you take 3,200 dollars, and you buy, it's possible you buy Railtown at 32 cents. But let's use 32 cents because the arithmetic is easier. But it might be a little. It might be a little less than this. But if you put it into 10,000 shares of Railtown, and again, Donna, I'm using 32 cents, so that might be, I don't know, it might be just fine, but it also might be a little optimistic. So you have 10,000 shares of Railtown. Where could that be by September? And let's ignore all the fluctuations in both investments in the meantime. Well, in September, this is the second quarter. The third quarter will end before September. Everybody's coming back from vacation. They're back to school. Mergers and acquisitions happen. The rush to get last minute plans done. But also, I was reading, and I was going to read it to you today, but I'm just a little bit tired, and I'm not sure I can find it. But there's a backlog in NVIDIA delivery of NVIDIA chips through the middle of 2026. So it's possible that a lot of these data centers and a lot of these compute providers get their delivery in the third quarter. And, anyway, there's a lot of things that could make a compelling story for Railtown and AI in the third quarter, in the broader scope. But specifically, I think certainly by September, we're going to be well past any blackout on news. I think we're going to be, let me just quickly add it up. Let's say, Donna, let's just say, and I might be wrong, but let's just say that this tele platform and the Railtown proof of concepts, the start of it, let's just be negative for this example and say it all starts in July. Why am I picking July? Because the new CEO comes in, I think July 2nd or July 4th. And maybe he wants it on his record. So let's just say that Railtown really starts ramping July, August, September. I think that's way too conservative, but I'm trying to be conservative here. So let's say the revenue ramps, and let's say in September, new reports come out, and they are able to predict Railtown's revenue, talk about LangChain, and one or two of our optimistic things about Railtown maybe are included. I think you could see Railtown at least $15, $20, $25 in September. But if we say it's 15, your 40 ounces, it's my example. I mean, this real results are going to vary, but your 40 ounces today in September maybe in my example have two outcomes. With silver more than tripling, you might have 12 grand in September. Or if you put it in 10,000 shares of Railtown today, roughly, but we don't, the price could be higher. You might have 150,000 to $250,000 worth in September of Railtown. And as I always point out to people, at that time, Donna, you could sell 10% of this part of your position and buy silver at $300 a share, an ounce, and your head will be driving you crazy. I'm paying 300, not 80. But you end up with the same position you had or more, because 10% would probably buy more than well, actually I'm way off. If you sold 10% of your position, you could buy 400 ounces of silver. I think I'm doing that correctly. But my point is, after Railtown, if you still wanted to, you could reduce it slightly and get back in the position, even though you're paying more in dollars, you end up with your same position or a greater position of silver and all this extra Railtown, which I personally don't think 15 or 20 or 25 even approaches the potential upside for Railtown. But I do hope that, and I don't know how to find out because I don't think anyone at Railtown would tell me. I do hope we're not putting together all the pieces and seeing more there than is there. Anyway, all right, let me keep going. Donna, I definitely do that when I get back home, even though I do want to buy silver and gold for investment when I have money. Yes, exactly. So do I. You're not wrong on that. But and I kind of wish that Railtown had already had the big move and gold and silver had waited for us. But you can't own everything, and you can't control the timing either. So we have to bob and weave with what we have. Giuseppe, you touched on Virginia governor. She's a commie like all other Ds. There are no moderates. Well, I think the Democratic Party, Giuseppe, is beholden to female voters. And that makes the men all wimpy and simpy and beta. And you couldn't have in the Democratic Party an alpha male. You just couldn't. The women wouldn't vote for him. They'll swing, on the Republican side, I used to ask women as I would, young women, I'd be sitting at dinner or at bar around the country I used to have to go city after city in the oil patches. And back then, I'm talking in 2000, and I was all for Al Gore by back then. I would just ask. And the one good thing about the red states and the conservatives and if you watch SNL, you think they're all dangerous bubbas, and they're all racist like George Wallace. It's just not the case. And they're so much more tolerant of other views. I was the only Democrat, and I'm sitting there espousing, Al Gore views. And, they would go back and forth with me, the guys would, but it didn't change their opinion of me. They didn't change. They might say, hey, let's talk about something else now. Let's talk golf. And I say, okay. How'd you do on the first hole? And I'd stop listening. But to a man and woman, even if the conversation got a little bit hot on politics to a man and woman. They accepted my right to have a different point of view, and it didn't change their opinion of me. It's incredible. But anyway, I would ask Giuseppe, I would ask these young 20-year-old, 25-year-old, 30-year-old women who they're going to vote for, and they'd say, George Bush, he's cute. Okay, I guess that's a reason to vote for him. And then so many times with the older women, they'd be a little bit, their lives were so busy, other things going on. And they say, I like George Bush. He did such a great job before. And they didn't even know it was his son. So anyway, I think the Democratic Party realizes most voters don't have a whole lot of time. They're so busy working, raising their kids, 2 jobs, studying. It's just the headlines, the image, the photograph. And I really think the Democratic Party is completely different than John Kennedy's Democratic Party. And I still think there's a pretty good argument to be made for the last statesman as president that I liked to be Jimmy Carter. I'm not sure everyone out there loves Ronald Reagan. I don't know how I feel. It's not that I dislike him, and I'm starting to see some of the better sides of him. And then George H.W. Bush was a statesman, but he's just another continuation of Reagan. But anyway, the Democratic Party has completely changed. And I would argue it'll piss people off. I don't mean to piss people off. I just think it's the nature of it. When your party is more than 50, 60% women, female, it's just different. I'm not saying it's worse. It's just different. And I'm not saying men are better, by the way. The men ran the hatred of the Democratic Party in the South back before Lyndon Johnson signed the Civil Rights Bill. And he said, by signing this, I think we lost the South for a generation. So I'm not saying men collectively are better either. It's just different. It's just different. And it's kind of scary, actually. Would the Virginia governor, the current one, could she run for president? Maybe. I'm sure the CIA would be all behind it. Ugh. But I think it's going to be AOC's mantle to hold until she screws it up. I don't think they'll be able to run Kamala Harris again. Hillary's already always out there, but I think she's just that much further. She's in the baby, or is she older than Trump? Trump's in the baby boomer generation. Can you believe that? But I think it's going to be AOC. The Democratic Party is going to go where the female vote goes. No doubt about it. I could qualify that and say the liberal female vote, but I don't find the women of the Democratic Party tolerant at all. And I used to think liberalism meant being tolerant. I don't, anyway, I don't know. Giuseppe, I'm not sure it's as much communist as National Socialist as it's pretty frightening, but it's coming. It's coming. We're gonna have we just have to go there, and we're gonna have it. And why do you think the media and television, movies tear down white straight men so much? I guess because we're all bad, I guess we're terrible. Ward Richardson. Donna, just think, see, Donna, Ward gives good advice. Let's see what he says. Donna, just think your $3,200 investment could turn into $5 million? And that is a lowball number, not too shabby for a $3,200 investment. So Donna, $5 million for 10,000 shares. $500 a share. Yeah. Donna, Ward's making a good point. So Donna, let me put it this way. If that TELUS data center, ignoring AIP, is worth $100 million a year, $50 million a year to Railtown, and Railtown is part of the NVIDIA stack and the TELUS drive to get business around the world, and it's a part of other stacks because it stays neutral. What if NVIDIA gets on top of 50 other data centers, sovereign data centers worldwide, just 50? But remember, it just has to be projected. So they get on 50 of them, and they each give $50 million a year in 100% revenue to Railtown. That's $2.5 billion, and it's growing. So if you take $2.5 billion and you go with an AI multiple that's not at the high end of the orchestration framework multiples, but it might be a little bit higher than software developer type company multiples. Let's just use 35. I have no idea what it's going to show. Let's use 35x. I can't tell you what that means for the enterprise value. Let's divide it by the number of shares. This calculator. I think it gives you, Donna, let me use my other calculator. It's so bad. I got to delete that calculator. All right, so 2.5 billion times 35 gives you $87 billion market cap. You divide it by 227 million shares. It could be more by then, but that's all we know now. Yeah, I could have figured out from the other one. $385 a share. So Ward, his $500 isn't that. I use 50 million a year. I think that TELUS data center is going to generate 250 million a year for Railtown. So Donna, I think I'm going to read Ward's advice to you again. Donna, just think what your 3,200 investment could turn into. It could be $5 million, $500 a share. And that is a lowball number, not too shabby for a $3,200 investment. My gosh. My gosh. Donna, I own the gold coin with my sister and she can make decisions. I have no problem liquidating the silver. I can do that Monday or Tuesday. I'm psyched. See, Donna? Donna, I think Donna in this group of people here, I think Donna deserves credit for early leadership. I really mean that. I don't know how long ago it was, but maybe it's certainly by the third quarter. But Donna is one of the first people that broke through 100,000 ounces, and she told everybody. And over and over and over again, she would make the point or buttress the point that she was happy. She was so happy to have gotten out of all those other stocks that kept her up at night, and she had to watch and worry and listen and be distressed and she said once she moved it to Railtown, she stopped worrying. That it was such a relief to know that she could get into a stock that if it went up, she didn't have to be at her computer. If it drifted downward, it gave her a chance to buy more, and it didn't stress her out. And anyway, I really give Donna credit for being a leader to all of us, including me, but to all of us in this group. And I'm glad that she can buy more. So I wish Donna luck on that. Ward Richardson, go for it, Donna. Rail engine. Donna M, I'm going to tell you the truth, I forgot about it. I'm glad I started thinking about getting the dollars. My husband thinks I have enough Railtown, and he's stubborn, but so am I. You love each other. He sounds a little bit like what HD said. Well, I have enough. My attitude is, I think people are, Donna, and so that's another sign of your leadership. I think people are, when the stock starts moving, and it gives no evidence that it's ever going to move to some people, but when the stock starts moving, I think people are going to start buying, and you're going to be glad you did what you did. But secondly, I think people are going to kick themselves. They might do it, in an oh well way, that's fine. I'm fine with it. But I'm going to be kicking myself that I didn't have the money. Anyway, let's not make it about me. I'm going to be grateful for what I do have. And it's not a perfect analogy, but I use it so often. It's the only one coming in my head. I don't know many people that get home after listening to their husband's advice or their roommate's advice or their girlfriend's advice. Why don't you get that? You don't need that big one. You need get that smaller one. It would fit better, and it'd be good in the other room. I don't know many people that got home to their house after buying state-of-the-art color TV for their entertainment experience that say, I wish I had purchased a smaller one. I don't know many. Of course, now they're so big, I don't know if that analogy still works, because some of these things are monsters. But you get my point. I don't think there's going to be many people out there as this Railtown goes up that say, I wish I had purchased fewer shares. I just don't see it. And I know it's banging the same drum over and over again. I don't understand this point of view that you have enough. It just, of course, that's in the context of assuming if you have, you own, in you guys' case, maybe you own 2 homes, you have income, you have other assets, you have your insurances. If I recall, your husband makes quite a good living at the Masters golf tournaments. So you got everything set. I just don't see why there's a limit. Are you in it? I don't know. But I guess my attitude is a little bit colored by the fact that you don't see many of these setups in a lifetime. You don't see these many setups. So good for you, Donna. Fractions of Jupiter. I am buoyed by the nice statement at the end of yesterday's stream that you wish that we all make money. That's true. Do you extend that well wish even to the shills and ne'er-do-wells as the Bible would want? I don't know. I don't think that, have you read the Bible? I have to express to you as a Catholic, although I have, my dad, anyway, so it's not all Catholics, but as a Catholic whose mother went through a prolonged period of time of just rejecting the faith. My dad almost became a priest. Then he met my mother. I don't know that's the message of the Bible. I do not wish the shills make money coming in here, spreading fear, uncertainty, and doubt, and stealing money from others to make money. And I don't think Jesus was for that either. He said, give unto Caesar what is Caesar's. And other things. I'm trying to remember some of the other things. But his message, which I'm not sure that the priests or the rabbis at the temple got, I don't know what they're all called, Sanhedrians and Sadducees, and basically the very strict Orthodox Jews, which Jesus was Jewish, and we all consider that we come from. I don't say that as a bad thing. What I say is Jesus came to say that the law of Moses, he came to say that that's not necessarily that it's over, but that isn't the way to heaven. The way to heaven is through him, and that his death and his dying and the pain he experienced on cross, all of the world's sins, past, present, and future, went through him. Oh my God, I can't imagine it. He was human when that happened. I just can't imagine it. That was for everybody. And so his wish is for everybody to have what his father and it's all, and he wished for them to have in heaven. And so, yes, I do wish that the shills and ne'er-do-wells experience the great gifts of the hereafter. But in this world, which Jesus disdained to the extent that accumulating wealth in this world and taking from others in this world was a short-term disaster for your longer-term salvation. But it's up to he, not up to each of us. I don't think his message was in this world that you should wish that those who were stealing from you, and that those who were a threat to you, and that those who were taking from your friends and ruining their lives, that you wish they make money. So I do extend the hope that they can make money if they buy Railtown and they come away from the dark side. But no, I do not hope or wish that people that are part of the cabal of criminals conspiring to counterfeit and to collude and compress prices ever lower, therefore purloining the entire purse of the American marketplace under $5. No, I don't want them to make any money. And you know, no, I don't want them to make money. But thanks for your question. I'm sure you meant it in good intent. Eddie Rawlings, I grew up in Lorton, left and came back, lived in Stafford and Fredericksburg, now in Atlanta, Hotlanta. I loved the burg. My kids were born there, all memories. I've been to Lorton. I used to drive through Fredericksburg all the time. Stafford County. That's weird. I can't place Stafford County in my head, but it's all great stuff. Donna, I grew up in Marietta, Georgia until I was 20. Wow, Georgia. I moved to Texas with a girlfriend and met my husband when I was 22. He's a Virginia boy, so I've lived in Virginia since I was 26. I'm 67 now. Wow, you have a great marriage. That's awesome. Eddie Rawlings, have you been through Marietta lately? E. Belanger, 3,200 turned into 5 million. Am I missing something? I think E. Belanger, I think Ward is saying if you bought 10,000 shares of Railtown for approximately $3,200, $3,500, I think Ward believes that Railtown can go. I actually think he thinks it can go much higher, but I think he thinks it can get to $500 a share. I think Ward sees Railtown as disruptive, and that the technology is going to lead to extraordinary revenues and potentially a unicorn type stock that transforms AI. Eddie Rawlings, my wife is a Georgia peach. I promised her I would bring her back to Georgia one day, and I did. I like Georgia. I like Virginia. Donna M. I went a couple of times a year till 5 years ago when I'm sorry about that, Donna. My mother passed away. We still have our family home there that her widower is living in till he passes. So I guess the last time was 2021. Georgia. Irish Eyes. Hello, William. Steve, I hope you're doing well. AK Gronk's parents. Oh, Gronk's parents. I didn't know your Irish eyes. Gronk. How is Gronk? I saw some great dogs at there's a outdoor beer garden. When I walked to my doctor's appointment, and there was a Great Dane, uh, some sort of hound that almost could have been a lion dog, but wasn't. It wasn't a pit bull, but it was some sort of hound like that. And then a littler dog. So I was just watching him. I was leaning on the fence. The Great Dane came over to try to tell everyone I was dangerous, barking at me. And I said hi. I didn't move away. But the hound jumped up and I put my hand out. He licked my head. And he was calm. But then they got back to the Great Dane. They're all barking at me. I could never get the Great Dane to accept me, but they started running around the grass. It was fun. So anyway, I love Gronk. But I'm glad to see you Irish eyes are smiling. Donna, I never thought about moving back to Georgia. The traffic is hellacious. I enjoyed living and raising our kids in Quinton. Eddie Rawling. Yeah, but Donna, would you agree with me that Virginia's changed? I don't know. I hope it hasn't changed. It's a great state. Eddie Rawlings, yes, the traffic is a nightmare. I don't see a move in my future. I will likely stay in Georgia, but wait, things will change. Eddie, how many shares? I forgot how many shares you have. I think so. All right, Ward Richardson. William, there is no competition with RT and sound. They actually complement each other. Looking good, sound. Feeling good, Railtown. Yusuf Barnes, still holding my small 5,000, my friend. Bravo, 5,000. Maybe Ward should tell you how much that's going to be worth. If I can anyway, if I can incorporate the numbers that Ward just gave to Donna, I would say that he would say you could make, if all goes well and the creeks don't rise, you could make 2.5 million with 5,000. But that's if the stock goes to 500, stays there, on its way, maybe higher. So I think you've done great, Yusuf. Pat M. Donna, leave the gun. Take the cannoli. Donna, sell the silver. Fund your Roth. See, Pat M. From Germany, Donna. I don't know if she lives in Germany, but I can't remember. Donna M., I'm going, Pat M. I'm so excited. Pat M., you go, girl. I love it. You go, girl. Pat M., FYI, you need earned income to fund a Roth. Oh, that's the glitch. To fund it, you need earned income. You can't just be retired and put it into a okay, it has to be after-tax income of that year? I guess so. That makes sense to me. Donna M. Pat, I better look that up. Thanks, Pat M. I haven't worked since October 25. I've already put 4,600 in my 26. My husband has a business. Maybe he can put me on his payroll. He's going to say, I think you have enough, Railtown. I'm not putting you on my payroll. No, I'm sure he'll do it. Pat M., you can contribute as a spouse as long as he is employed. Marriage comes into use. Pat M., oh, and you do a joint tax return. Donna M., he is, and we do. Woo, he's self-employed. He's the business owner. Donna M., he just walked in with a friend he was playing cornhole with. They won. I told him, I like that game, throwing the things. I told him I was going to finish funding my Roth. He told me I didn't have the roll, the additional into his Roth. Like, he told me I didn't have to maybe roll the additional into his Roth like I'd mentioned I was going to. He said he didn't think I should put it all in one stock. I told him, great, and I was going to be okay. See, this is a leader. Donna is a leader. Donna is a leader. Giuseppe. And you know what else Donna's doing? Donna's showing the enthusiasm while the stock is down that others are going to show as it goes up. And one of the classic mistakes all of us make, we start buying. I did it with NMTOP. I didn't buy it at 80 cents, 50 cents, $1, $2. I waited till it ran and it was 8, 9, 10, 12, 14 even. So, and then I bought some on the way back down like HD's doing, but it didn't do me any good because it stopped trading. Anyway, we all do it. So Donna is giving you guys leadership in investing. In my judgment. Other people have other strategies. Giuseppe, William, do you remember recommending semiconductor ETFs a while back? Yes, I do. It's done great. I do remember it. The only reason I don't go back over all the things I say is because I made a commitment when I started representing this investment as my number one thing to do. I just didn't want to distract from it or confuse people. I'm not sure that my message comes across clearly if I start talking about others. But yes, I do remember saying semiconductors, and I wonder if they're going to continue to do well. But thanks, I appreciate that because I'm not always wrong. Donna M. mentioned I was going to. He said he didn't think I should put it all in one stock. I told him, I already read that. Sorry. Pat M. Donna, try to get all the silver proceeds into any Roths you can. Max out those contributions wherever you can. Pat M., he will thank you later. Donna M., I can only put 2,500 and my Roth is maxed out. I might send the additional 700 to my sister to open a Roth and purchase Railtown. I remember she has that. She has 1150 shares, and it was like pulling teeth. Donna M. She's retired and doesn't have a job. I don't want to put the additional 700 in a taxable stock account. Maybe I'll split it between my boys or wait and put it in my next year Roth. Alternatively, why don't you put 700 in a taxable account and just not, maybe Ward's right, and don't sell it till it gets much, 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 much higher. Pat says, and buy Railtown for him. Donna, you're right. I'll put it in my husband's Roth. Pat M, great idea. Clap, clap, clap. You guys. Ricky, hopefully Telus give up a date on the data centers. Could be very bullish. It's it's almost 9 o'clock. I'm not going to do it, but I have some things that I went through today, and I'm not going to. I'm not going to do it right now. But Ricky, it's possible that there's bottlenecks, and I'm not getting at this from anywhere, other than inquiries to the computers. It's possible that the NVIDIA chips, they're in so much demand. Jensen said it's insane. And it's possible that the Telus data center, I don't know this, but it's possible that what I learned today, and Ward helped me, is the data center at Rimouski is 6 modules for now, and it might be inside a bigger structure. They sold out the first one, but the other 5 may or may not have been built out. I don't know. But so my point is, you're right. We will learn maybe on the Telus call. But it might also be true that even though Telus is a preferred customer of NVIDIA, that Telus too has had to wait, because everybody has to wait to get that capacity going. So there's at least a chance, Ricky, that capacity isn't available. It will be, but maybe it's not 100% available. There is some reselling, it's all in what I'll show you. There's people that have purchased compute, and then they can resell it to other Canadian startups. But again, it does not matter for purposes of valuation whether the revenue comes in the second quarter, third quarter. What matters is that the revenue is projected to come sometime in the near horizon and then continue for years. That's what matters to the valuation. Anyway, with that, I think I'm going to figure out what I'll do tomorrow. Thank you to everybody for tuning in. I really appreciate what I think is leadership from Donna and Pat, but I also appreciate that from Ward, showing, Ward is starting to show a little bit of what, because he studied all this for a long time, and he decided, what is it in Latin? I don't know. There's a phrase. I never studied Latin, but he's decided completely separately from my limited presentations. He's decided, and then found me somehow. So he already came to the judgment that Railtown was a disruptive technology. So his targets, I give credence to. I also caution that that's bloody out of here, but it's a booming space. Sorry, I'm tired. There's other people here leading the way too. I love Upa with his barrage of one share a day. That'll show them. I love all that. All right, I'm going to sign off. I'm feeling myself fading rather quickly. Thank you for tuning in. Let's all pray for peace. And yes, I do wish everybody here makes all the money they want to without making enough. I hope they make more than enough. Anyway, peace.